weapons grade levels of cringe. Okay? Weapons grade levels of cringe. This is going to be about Arch Warhammer. This is my Arch Warhammer video. And this is about how he thinks the extreme left is destroying the world because racism or something. Let's hop into it. Okay. I can do it. Deep breath. Deep breaths, everybody.
Greetings and salutations, friends. It feels almost trite to say this again already, but believe you me, it comes from the heart, and it feels almost cliched to say that, but...
Good evening, friends. It is so nice to be in the company of such delicate creatures as yourself. This guy doesn't sound like this. He doesn't sound like this. He has an accent, but doesn't sound like this. He puts on this voice because he thinks it makes him sound cool and sophisticated when he's going over his like dog shit talking points. Okay, if you watch any video of him like on a live stream or something, he doesn't sound like this. He doesn't have this much of like a weird, posh, fake British accent. Okay, it's just yeah, and this fake laugh. He doesn't sound like this. It's really, really cringe, but we're gonna have to get through it. All right, let's hit it.
But thank you all again so much for your outpouring of love and support. I've received yet another avalanche of emails and messages. It's amazing. Thank you guys so much.
I received one of the funniest ones. Is Reddit, is he a Nazi? No, but he can trigger you in other ways. Breathes. Arch Warhammer? Really? This is a... All right.
I'll try to get to a bunch of the emails, at least answer them with, a quick thank you or something, but my email is a little bit inundated at the moment, so you will excuse me. So, I wanted to make a quick video on the paradox of tolerance, because I have been informed that currently there is a war raging on Twitter around this whole little drama nonsense. Now, you could not pay me to get back on Twitter. I haven't used that platform in 2-3 years, probably. I essentially use it as a backup notification system at this point, when it tweets out my videos, if that system is even active. I don't know, I set that up 2 years ago, but presumably it's still active, because
please stop.
Obligation to hurt people, attack this person. We can hurt this person. Not only that, it is our moral obligation to hurt people for their opinions on the internet.
Hurt people? Whoa now, buddy. This is just free speech. Vote Trump? No. This is just free speech. I feel like lots of people, when they go over free speech, they don't understand that free speech goes both ways. Okay? If someone can say whatever they want, whenever they want, all right? I can say whatever I want about them. That's all this is, about using your free speech to talk about someone else. They don't understand why we have speech laws. It's because just like we have road laws, if you could drive wherever you want, up on the sidewalk, through orphanages, through a freaking pound or something, then driving wouldn't be as cool, as fun, or as useful as it would be to society if we have voting laws. All right? That's why we have speech laws. You can silence someone with your speech. That's why we have... Did you see that? There's like there's a beetle. It's a beetle. I hate beetles. Okay, but that's why we have speech laws, because of that. I mean, and that's just free speech, dog. If you say something mad stupid and people want to call you out on it, well, what can you do? Sorry.
The reason is this comic. You may have seen it before. It's been around for a while. Imagery censored for the sensibilities of YouTube, of course. But it is called...
Listen, I live in the South, okay? When you live in the South, well, I'm kind of in the South. Kentucky's like kind of South. It's kind of South. It's like Indiana. It's like a faux South. It's like this guy's accent. They try really hard to be South when they're not really that South. Listen, okay? There are lots of bugs down here. 'Tis life. And also, the paradox of tolerance is extremely true, but let's see if he can try and debunk it.
Paradox of tolerance, and like most communist things, it is taken wildly out of context, because of course it is. And in this case, even more obviously, because as we will see when we will read the actual quote by Karl Popper, you will see that it actually seems to reflect far more poorly on today's socialists than any far-right movement right now. So, the comic here...
Wow, really? Any far-right movement? Any far right movement, anyone, any far right movement. Wow, literally all of them, any far right movement. So like the Christchurch shooting, it's just way worse than Antifa Black Bloc members saying that you're a racist. Wow, incredible. You don't think that you can drive through an orphanage with your words? No, but you can with a car, which is why I used the analogy.
Very clearly suggests that his argument is we must be intolerant towards the intolerant. We must suppress them, we must crush them, because if we do not, they will take over society. Hitler will rise to power once more, and we will lose our tolerant society. That is the message. But was that actually what Carl Hare wrote? Well, let's have a look, shall we?
I don't know about what this person wrote, but the paradox of tolerance is true. Should a tolerant society tolerate intolerance? No. YouTube no likey? Do you want more tolerance? Respect my ideas. The answer is no. Yeah, the answer is no. If you have bad ideas, fuck off. If your ideas will lead to less tolerance, fuck off. Like, what do you... I'm sorry.
But was that actually what Carl Hare wrote? Well, let's have a look, shall we? Quoting, unlimited tolerance must lead to the disappearance of tolerance. If we extend unlimited tolerance even to those who are intolerant, if we are not prepared to defend a tolerant society against the onslaught of the intolerant, then the tolerant will be destroyed and tolerance with them. In this formulation, I do not imply, for instance, that we should always suppress the utterance of intolerant philosophies as long as we can counter them by rational argument and keep them in check by public opinion. Suppression would certainly be unwise. That is a radically different sentiment, isn't it? So he starts by saying that a completely tolerant society will be destroyed. What he means there is a society that is completely and utterly submissive. A society that simply stands back regardless of the actions taken.
Why is he rolling? A society that stands back regardless of anything. Stop, dude. You don't have an accent like this. You're so cringe.
Behalf of the intolerant towards them. Such a society that never reacts, that never fights back, that never stops the as he says, onslaught, will be destroyed. And that is entirely correct. But as he will go on to mention, he will expand upon this a little bit further, because he also says, I do not suggest we should suppress them. And the reason for this is, as Dr. Martin Luther King said, a riot is the language of the unheard.
Conservatives whipping out the socialist Martin Luther King's words. Don't you love it? You'll love to hear it. Okay, let's break this down for 1 second, okay? Because he apparently does not understand. So what he wrote there was that he was right in the first part. A tolerant society cannot have tolerance unlimitedly because the people who are intolerant will use the tolerance to retract tolerance from everyone to ensure that they are the only ones who could use their language. Fascists do this all the time. They harp on about free speech when they can use it, but once they have power, they're going to take it away from their detractors to make sure that they can maintain power. This is how this works, okay? This is how the Weimar Republic fell, and this is how every other context of a country would fall under a fascist regime, okay? This is how this works, right? We all understand this. What he went on to say was that in a tolerant society, we should have the faculties, we should have the social institutions strong enough to be able to withstand people who are intolerant being able to reach power and take tolerance away from everyone. Okay, I assure you, if we didn't have strong enough institutions in this country, we most likely would be a fascist country, or at least somewhere much closer to it than we are today. All right, I 100% believe this. Now he goes on to say in the later bit, and Arch wants to harp on about this point because this is what he thinks helps him, is that suppression does not work. Now what he means by suppression there is not you get fired for saying something, because he said social pressure to make it so that social pressure to disincentivize the spread of these ideas is good. What he's talking about, silence, like silencing, is like government silence. Like the government shouldn't step in if you're like a Nazi and you have like the Nazi flag behind you and everything. You have a swastika tattooed on your like crotch. You shouldn't like go to jail for that. That's what he means by silencing, which is what we have here. All right. If you get banned, if you use your if you lose your YouTube channel because you're advocating for like the murdering of all non-white people or something, if you do that, that's not silencing. That's social pressure. Okay. If your ideas were profitable to this platform, then I highly doubt that they'd be kicking you off. Whereas we're just in a culture now where that's not socially acceptable. So you get shut down from the platform that you had. You can always go out into the middle of the street. You can go to your local freaking like municipality. You can go to your mayor's office. You can go to the city's like town hall or whatever, and then screech about how like the end is nigh and white genocide is going to destroy this country. You can do that all you want. You can do that all you want. But on someone's personal property, on their platform, to build a platform, if they don't want you to have a platform on their property, YouTube, mind you, they're 100% within your rights and does not go against this tolerance thing. I don't know.
And in this case, who is the most oppressed group of people, I wonder?
Gamers.
Is it the ones that have every major corporation practically on the planet changing their social media logos to echo their sentiments?
Do you really think this means anything? Like, Republicans will be the first one to call out virtue signaling to like LGBT and black people and brown people. They'll be the first ones to call out like virtue signaling, but then go on and say like they're the oppressed. He's the oppressed ones because no one's in his corner. Dog, you said, this means nothing, and this does mean nothing. Now, mind you, do I want them to do this? Yes, because this is better than letting these guys' voices fester. All right, at least showing that you at least pretend to support LGBTQ rights is cool. That's great. That's amazing. All right. But it doesn't mean anything. Lots of these people probably still have very problematic workplaces, don't have the best ideas on LGBTQ rights. I mean, come on. Like you said, like you would say, you'd be the first one to call it out. It means nothing.
That seems unlikely for some reason. Let's read the second part of the quote. But we should claim the right to suppress them if necessary, even by force, for it may easily turn out that they are not prepared to meet us on the level of rational argument, but begin by denouncing all argument. They may forbid their followers to listen to rational argument because it is deceptive, and teach them to answer arguments by the use of their fists or pistols. We should therefore claim, in the name of tolerance, the right not to tolerate the intolerant. And suddenly you begin to see the full context. So now he has elaborated on it. He has stated that even force may be used, although he is clearly hesitant of this. He clearly thinks like this is a last option, but if a group decides to denounce the argument, if a group even simply just refuses to have it at all and simply states something, goes like, no, this is our worldview and we will not move on it. We will not argue. We will not discuss. We are absolutists on this. And then they also begin saying that their followers should take up the fist and pistol instead of the argument. Then, and only then, must a tolerant society act with force to preserve itself against the intolerant. Now, I don't need to tell you what force that he would be referring to in modern day society. I don't need to tell you.
Wait a second.
Level of rational argument. But we should claim the right to suppress them if necessary, even by force, for it may easily turn out that they are not prepared to meet us on the level of rational argument. But
okay, so he's saying we may have to reach them in force because they don't want to argue. Okay? They just want power. They don't want to argue. All right?
Begin by denouncing all argument. They may forbid their followers to listen to rational argument because it is deceptive, and teach them to answer arguments by the use of their fists or pistols. We should therefore claim, in the name of tolerance, the right not to tolerate the intolerant.
So how does he think this plays to the left? Who on the left? Who on the left? Please tell me who on the left is like, yes, we must abandon all argument. Don't listen to any argument at all. And we must now murder. Like, who? Please tell me. I want names. I want receipts. Who? Tell me. I'd love to know. I'd love to see them because they're based. I'm joking. We hate political violence here. We don't engage in any violence that is political or violence at all. The only violence that's happened here on the stream is the breaking of my heart. What are you talking about? See, have you looked at the political violence deaths like over the last like 10 years or since 9/11? Like it's been solely the right. Yeah, I play Minecraft on pacifist, okay? It's just been solely the right who does this. What are you talking about? Who? Like, can you name me like left-wing deaths? What's by like left-wing actors? Who? Society, true. Joker Pepe. Who? I want to know. Like,
American people are tired of women.
thank you for letting the American people know that we're tired of women. We do in a society. It's true. I just don't get it. I just don't understand how you can make this argument. Maybe he's too dumb and too Brit Bonger to like understand American politics, because this is obviously, I mean, maybe it's in the realm of like Brit Bonger politics. I don't know. But here in the only country on the world, the United States, like the shootings that have happened here and abroad have been like, most of them have been from like right-wing agitators, like alt-right groups, neo-Nazis, people who adhere to the Great Replacement, you know, people who cite Ben Shapiro, Steven Crowder, Lauren Southern, and PewDiePie in their shootings and their manifestos. But the freaking, like the gay night bar shooting, are those left-wing shootings? Who? I'm so curious. Who? I don't know. He's going to make the argument you see, the left shuts down arguments because I said that the Jewish people control the world and I lost my Discord. Like, okay.
Something goes like, no, this is our worldview. Tolerant society act with force, pistol and the fist. Because we all know it is everywhere. It is blatant. It is unequivocal. Right now, there are riots. There is looting. There is burning. There is a complete disrespect of law and order and historical monuments and the people we would expect to protect us.
True, Babadon.
Our enforcers of law and justice stand by and do nothing. This is what he meant with the beginning statements, that a completely tolerant society, one that does not act against the onslaught, will inevitably be destroyed by the intolerant. Suddenly, the paradox of tolerance has an entirely new meaning, does it not?
So the people, so the people rioting, the people protesting, the people knocking down statues of intolerant people, of slave owners, of people who've committed like Native American genocide, of the people who sold slaves, of the people who, you know, do bad things. Andrew Jackson, ever heard of the Trail of Tears? That was him, actually. Andrew Jackson went against a Supreme Court ruling, said that he shouldn't do the Trail of Tears. It's unbased and very cringe. And he said, he got the order on his desk and he's like, I'm going to pretend I didn't see that. And then went out and did it. Okay. And you're telling me that the people who want to like tear that down are the intolerant ones? Okay, buddy. Okay, buddy. Okay, all right.
Now, again, this is the actual quote. You can find it in his book. It is free to download. In fact, I will even leave a link to it in the description down below so you can check it out for yourself. Just Control F, the unlimited tolerance must lead to the disappearance of tolerance part, and you will get to that portion lickety-split. No issue.
I love how conservatives, they love to do this, all right? They love to pull from these three things, okay? This about tolerance, the tolerance paradox, they love to pull from MLK, and they love to pull from Orwell, all right? All three socialists, okay? They love to use socialist. Honestly, it's kind of on par. It's kind of on par for conservatives to start using socialist language and socialist ideas for their own gains. Ever heard of the National Socialists, the Nazis? You know, it's just kind of on par. I mean, dog, if you wanna do your own thing, congratulations. We have a debate. We can talk about it anytime you want. No one's shutting you down the government isn't stopping you, like he said, social pressure is perfectly fine. And I feel just as fine with social pressure, with you losing your job, with you getting freaking booted from these platforms. I'm perfectly happy and fine with them if you hold abhorrent views about the world. Because what would happen to those people who you're advocating need to go, whether it's like immigration, something like that, whether it's about racism or like the Jewish plot to destroy the Western society or something. Listen, way worse things would happen to them than would happen to you. I'm sorry you suck and your ideas are garbage and and they're not profitable and nobody wants to host them and nobody wants to be your friend if these things are things that dribble out of your mouth. Okay, sorry bud, but we have better things to get on to, and we can still have debates. I don't know what he believes specifically. Things happen. I don't know. This, like, the whole side of this YouTube is for debates. They do debates. Ever heard of like Destiny? I mean, his whole thing is debates. Debate you out of freaking living. Sorry. Listen, if you just suck and you can't keep it in your pants long enough to get past like pretty not super strict TOS, then I don't think you deserve to be on the internet in the first place. All right, you want to see something from Arch Warhammer? So here's from Arch Warhammer's Discord. Remember that guy that we were just talking about? At the Spy Guy, hating Jews is one of humanity's oldest memes. It's not gonna go away anytime soon. Do a video on how the Skaven rape fuck giant drugged females that can barely speak. That should do wonders for them. Still does little to change the fact that Jews, a group of 14 million, produce more scientists than Islam, a group of over 1 billion. You want an enemy? Now there's your enemy. That's a whole population of regressive cultists that, given their way, would drag humanity into the darkness and ignorance. I would also point out that the Umberto's list would also work perfectly well for communism. So yep, this is Arch Warhammer, the guy who's like, they don't want to debate us. There's a chariot. Wait. I'm not sure if this is porn or something. I made a grave mistake. Is this porn? What is this? This is not porn. You know what's funny? I used to be a communist. Wants to know what killed that? Heinlein? I read Starship Troopers, and the point that made against communism there was too valid to argue against. Now I'm thoroughly hostile to communism, and I want the world to adopt a citizen republic. Wait, wasn't Starship Troopers supposed to be like a satirical like idea of like fascism? Isn't that what Starship Troopers was supposed to be? Like, they're supposed to be making fun of fascists and their worldview and how like their economy runs off like constant war. And this guy's like, this actually made good ideas. Like, what am I reading?